Good evening. I will now call the August 12th, 2025 meeting of the Ben Lapine School Board of Directors to order. I would like to introduce our participants this evening. To my immediate left, Directors Cameron Fisher, Ross Tomlin, Jen Lynch, and Shirley Olson. To my immediate right, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Lisa Burke and Board Clerk Janet Bojanowski. Superintendent Dr. Stephen Cook is joining us virtually, and I am Amy Tatum, Vice Chair of the Board. Would you please stand, remove your hats, and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now move to Agenda Item 3, Review of the Agenda. Dr. Cook, are there any changes to the agenda?
Thank you, Vice Chair Tatum. I would like to point out that the minutes for the June 17th board meeting inadvertently listed Jen Lynch as being in attendance as a board member. She was in fact in attendance, but only to be sworn in as a board member that was effective for July 1st. The attendance record for the minutes has been corrected to show that board member Carrie McPherson Douglas was in attendance for the June 17th meeting. The draft minutes have been replaced in your consent agenda for today.
Thank you. Fellow board members, are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing no requests for changes, we will proceed with the agenda as noticed. Next is public comment. We have no one signed up for public comment tonight, so we are going to move on. Now to the consent agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ross Tomlin has made the motion and Shirley Olson has seconded the motion. Is there any discussion on this topic or any request to remove anything from the consent agenda? All right, since there are no requests for any changes, I will call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, passes. Now I will turn to Superintendent Cook for the consent for information.
Thank you, Vice Chair Tatum. The first item in the consent for information are follow-ups to questions and public comments that we received at the June 17th board meeting. Those 4 comments are in there for your review. Second one is we have some policies and regulations that you see listed in the consent for information specific to driver's education that are being deleted as the language has been incorporated into the new policy IKA-8R. Also, grades and credit policy is in there, language regarding communication of student progress, as well as updates for grading in middle and high school has been updated in that IKA-AR. This is specific language that was bargained as a part of our bargaining sessions with our Bend Education Association that sets minimum criteria for the frequency of which grades are recorded in the grade book. Also, you will find JEA-AR, compulsory attendance policy, in reg is included in this consent for information. It has been updated to align with OSBA's recommended policy as well as our current district practices. Also, there are 2 documents that include our executive limitation report for communication. That's item 4.8 in your consent agenda, or excuse me, consent for information, and items 4.9 of the executive limitation for the annual report on safety measures. And those are both in reference to the 24-25 school year. Glad to take any questions that you might have.
Okay, hearing no questions, we can move into our report 7A.
Thank you, Vice Chair Tatum. Tonight, I am pleased to invite a number of our team members up to just talk about things that we're excited about for the new school year. I think one of the misconceptions that folks have with folks working in the summer in schools is that they don't understand, kids aren't here, so what is it that you're doing? And so this is to kind of demystify that a little bit and to shine a light on some of the practices that we've been engaged in over the summer in order for us to be ready for kickoff. As a first move in that, I just want to highlight one thing that we do around this time of year is launch with all of our building leaders and administrators across the district. So last week we had a 2-day launch at Caldera High School, and it was filled with lots of new learning, direction setting for the district. And I just want to acknowledge and thank those of you who were able to attend. All of you were able to attend, so I thank you for being there and being part of this. We got a lot of great feedback, as well as areas that we can improve. So feedback that was positive that we were excited about was kind of a collective feel of sort of we're all in this together, we're all moving forward on some common goals that came through. People appreciated the ability to move around and not have to sit in a sit and get all day. And there were a number of different sessions that were highlighted as, wow, I didn't know that, I'm excited to learn that, as well as, oh, that's something that maybe I used to know, but I'm reminded of that, and that feels really important. Areas that we can grow are to engage with some of our operational folks. We had them present in front of everybody, but then because it was kind of a round robin situation, they were unable to hear from all of then the departments. And so there are some structural things that we can enhance next year, as well as improving some opportunities for team time for folks to get information and then really digest it with the folks with whom they spend most of their time. So we're thinking of some different structures, but overall it was definitely a successful launch with a number of these folks who are in front of you ready to give their information and set us up for a great school year. So with that, is there something? Oh, okay. Janet's giving me the eye. Okay, so with that, we have, as I said, a number of different groups that are just going to share about things that they've prepared during the summer for the fall that we are really excited to just put on your minds and hearts as we roll into 25-26. So take it away, team. I guess I'm first. Yikes. I'll join them over here for a minute. Okay, can we all hear? Okay, so this is related to teaching and learning. And so Stephen and Katie have also been involved in this, as well as Tammy and Karen. This is basically all of the training opportunities that we have available to both administrators as well as staff as we launch the new year. So middle school science is engaged in lab aids, high school peer physics, mathematic training, that's happening early in September. And then if you recall, we adopted a new math curriculum for all of our elementary schools. So everybody will be learning, yet again, something brand new for the year. And so all of that training has started already. Some of that happened in June. Some of that continues throughout this year. And then when we look into the secondary schools, one of the major lifts that we have is related to standards-based grading. You've all been a part of those discussions. And right now we have about 6 sessions. Stephen and Katie, I'm looking for you. 6 sessions that are for new early adopters. And so we have about like 50 to 60% of all of our high school and middle school staff that have said, I want to be an early adopter and go for it this year. So several of our schools are being trained on everything, whether they are an early adopter or not. And then certain staff are early adopters. So we do have a couple of schools that are like all in. We're doing the thing. And then several of our staff members have just said, yeah, I want to get on board this year. Again, the goal is to launch that district-wide the following fall. Okay, anything that you would add, Stephen or Katie, to that? Okay. All right, Stephen.
All right, one of the other areas that I work a lot in is our talented and gifted process. And so we're really excited to be launching this fall our new tag identification process. And so, thank you. Can I click on the document and blow that one up that's embedded? Okay, that's okay.
In the back, Ken.
Hey, folks in the back, can we click on that document that's embedded? There it is. Can we zoom in a little bit?
Nice and small.
Boom. Okay, so this is our new talented and gifted flow chart. Basically, in the past, we've always had like a qualitative and a quantitative component to our testing and identification process. And but we've kind of gone through this process of like looking at the test score first as the gatekeeper. And so we've made a significant adjustment in terms of how we refer students for talented and gifted. And so as always, but just really reinforced, anybody can refer anyone for tag. But we're looking at both qualitative and quantitative data first, which is a shift from how we've done things in the past. Go ahead and scroll down. And so this is a flow chart for our staff that we've put together, Jess Scott and myself, with feedback from ODE. And really proud to say that this process caught ODE's eye, and they actually want to use it as an exemplar for other districts in terms of how to go about moving forward with tag identification. And so we're going to roll this out and move forward this year with this new process. And so we've been working with our tag ICCL team members to get that going. And so you should all be able to, I've gotten some requests to access this document, so you should all be able to see that. Okay, you can go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint. And so yeah, so that new flow chart is something that we'll be rolling out, and so it'll be a big change and a shift, especially because we'll be having our teams have tag school teams now versus just one person maybe running point on that. And so it'll be more of a team process and decision around whether or not a student is talented and gifted. And so we've been working on this summer. We're really excited about it. Caught ODE's eye. And so this is some of the work that you'll see roll out in our schools this fall. Who's this going to?
Excuse me, do you want us to wait for questions at the very end, or?
Why don't we take them as they come, because they'll be grouped, so go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I have a couple questions about this. I'm curious about the anyone can refer.
Uh-huh.
Can you give some examples of who that anyone might be?
Parent,
beyond
a student,
parent?
a student can say that, hey, I think I might be talented and gifted. A parent, a community member, a teacher, an administrator, anybody can start that process. So if, you know, I'm not, probably a second or third grader is probably not going to self-identify themselves. They might feel like they can use the words like I'm not being challenged and things like that. That might, you know, begin that process. But you know, there's been a lot of, especially from the state level, there's been a lot of push, rightfully so, that like it doesn't have to live with just the teacher. And so our process allows for anybody to kind of start that almost like you would within like a 504 or another process where you're going to have a team look at the information and the data and collectively make a decision whether or not to move forward with an identification or monitor or et cetera.
Okay. And so is there a concern about capacity if we have any parent who, for any which reason, or saying, hey, I want to refer and I want to go next steps with all these, is there a time frame that you're hoping to address some of those referrals? I mean, that could be a lot of people at one time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the identification, anybody can refer, but it doesn't mean anybody gets identified. And so we still have to have a qualitative and a quantitative piece of evidence to identify a student as talented and gifted. And so the conversation can be started by anybody. I'm not uber concerned or super concerned around the idea around capacity, because we still have to go through a process of looking at all the pieces of evidence to identify someone. So it's clarifying our process and making it more friendly and open to making sure we don't miss anybody that should be caught. But it's not going to like double or triple or anything like that the number of students we would identify.
I understand not the identifying, but just going through the referral process
Yep.
and evaluation process, that, and I love the intention behind it, but I just want to make sure that it doesn't have this, clogging the system.
Yeah, and we'll have to see how they go. This is year one, and if we
Yeah.
need to make an adjustment, we can. This is more in spirit with ODE's direction.
Yeah, I love
So,
that, yeah.
my thought, though, is that we've added tag ICCLs to go with the tag administrator at every building, so that team's doubled at all of our sites to hopefully help with some of that capacity issue.
Okay.
And then the team that will look at it will be specific to the child, and so I can get back to you in terms of how many kiddos we're looking at in terms of that process versus maybe in a typical year, and we can compare, but we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, no, that's great. Then I was also curious about so historically, and I love that it's a, combo of qualitative and quantitative, but does that mean even if there is a screening of the top 3% for Smarter Balanced or the score on the Naglieri, that they also have to be the team has to be putting together a portfolio as well? Am I
Yeah,
getting that
so,
right?
and that's the way it's been now. It's not been as clear to folks that there's always needed to be that second piece of evidence for an identification.
yeah.
Right, and that second piece generally is always some sort of qualitative checklist, some sort of portfolio, and so.
A letter of.
Yeah, exactly. And so that, we've always kind of looked at it through the lens of like, well, because if you don't have a test score, you're not going to qualify, so why
Right.
even have the conversation unless you have a test score? That was kind of really the old school way of thinking
Absolutely,
about it.
yeah.
Now it's like, we can go through either door first, and just because you don't have a test score through, say, the Smarter Balance, if there's a lot of other pieces of evidence over here, maybe we should give this student like an iReady test as well to be super sure that we're not missing the qualitative piece as well. And so it allows for teams to kind of have that conversation about a kid before they make the decision versus letting the test be the decision maker for them.
Yeah, and I think that's great. I'm just reading multiple measures of evidence, but you're saying it's really just those two?
It's two. It's one qualitative and one quantitative.
Okay.
Yep. It can be more, but those are the minimum.
Okay. And then can you just speak a little bit to the rapid language acquisition piece? And I appreciate that you have down here for 2E kids and other factors consider emergent bilinguals, but when you put that up there from at the top, the rapid language acquisition, what kind of stuff? I mean, what comes to mind?
Yeah, that would be like looking at like a student and how like rapidly so like the pace at which they're picking something up can be an indicator.
Early on?
Yeah,
Like, so you're tracking this at the very beginning. There might be a sudden jump.
Yep.
Teacher observation,
Yep.
scores, et cetera.
Yeah.
But that's one of the pieces.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate how you included the details there about, additional factors to consider. So
And that's
I think this thing is great. I love this.
Then that's what OD really liked for
Yeah.
the piece they want to say. And then the other thing I do want to throw in there that if you see it, the SIGS 2, that is a nationally recognized checklist for talented and gifted students. We'd been using an internal one that we'd kind of created based on our own observations. We've contracted and bought licenses to use the SIGS, which is used all across the country, and it's a checklist specifically designed for talented and gifted students. And so our parents, our staff, will all have access to that this year and can use that as a qualitative piece of evidence that's much more in line with national thinking around giftedness.
Okay, yeah, this is great. Thank you.
Yep.
Very clear.
Are we still doing universal screening with Naglieri?
Yes, that is still a requirement. That doesn't change. That's still one way in. We're
Okay.
just clarifying there are more than one ways to start the conversation.
Okay. If, let's say we have a kindergartner or first grader who has, scored high on tests outside of the school district, are we identifying kids prior to third grade where we normally do, or are we still starting that process at third grade?
We screen before, but that doesn't mean we can't qualify before. So we would be allowed, like if a student came to us, obviously the big piece of talented and gifted education too is like their experience within grade and level and within learning within the public school system. So we're probably not going to identify a kindergartner before they've gotten to us, right? But if there's evidence for something younger than a third grader, that we have existing evidence that there's a giftedness, whether it's IQ testing done outside or whatever the case may be, it wouldn't be a hard no. We would evaluate through that tag team to see if it's appropriate.
Thank you.
Yep.
That was kind of my question too, Amy. Stephen, I am aware that kindergarten kids have been identified right from the get-go. And I don't know how many. I mean, I have no concept
Yep.
of the percentage of kids that would be K-1.
Right, and I don't
Or
have that
two,
number
K1,
either in
two.
front of me, Shirley,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, that'll be something I think that I would like to look at.
Yep.
Just to see how that works at the early literacy level.
Yep, totally. And I think the thing to remember with tag identification is while the identification follows the student throughout their entire career, the personal education plan or their interaction with our department plans can be tailored and adjusted based on where they need. And so we have talented and gifted students that rate and level of learning could be met by just the core curriculum. And they're still talented and gifted, but their needs are being met. And so they might not need something different at that time. And so if we identify a student at first grade and by the time they're in fourth grade, the performance issue is different, like they're not needing that, we can adjust what we're doing for them and they can still keep the identification, but then their rate and level of learning is being met by just the core curriculum, and that's fine. And then, but if ever in the future that changes, we can make an adjustment at that time.
Okay, and one last question, from me anyway.
Yeah.
We have identified schools that kind of have a cohort of
Correct.
tag kids. Is that still in operation?
Yes, nothing. Juniper still houses the self-contained fourth and fifth
And
grade class, and
Cascade
Cascade houses the language arts and social studies advanced classes.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay, on that note, I'm sorry, one more question while we're on this topic. Is the lottery system for each one of those programs, and what kind of wait list are we seeing right now?
So I'll speak to Cascade first because I have a lot of
Yes, thank you.
intricate knowledge with that. So Cascade, generally speaking, as long as the applications from talented and gifted identified students are received before the deadline, which aligns with our area change request deadline, we created sections for them. And that could be 2 sections, 3 sections. We got all of those students in. After that, if students want to make a jump over or change their mind or come in late, then it's dependent on how many sections we've determined is needed. And so let's just say on an average year, you're gonna have somewhere probably between 50 and 70-ish kiddos jump over there, including the students that would be there. That would be 2 sections of classes at 25 to 35-ish, somewhere in there. And if those are full, then a wait list would start. And if someone doesn't show up, someone moves, we even have students that self-select that, this isn't for me, I wanna write, then we could pull off that wait list. But I don't think I've ever seen that wait list get more than like 8 deep. At Juniper, similar process, it's later though, that they do the claiming because of the elementary system. And so they go through it and they fill to, I can't remember the exact number, I wanna say it's 30, it's 30 something that they fill to, and then after that, it becomes, if they've hit more than that, then it's a lottery system.
Okay, team, 2 things. One is that before you get going, blink sure to introduce yourself.
yeah.
And secondly, I am going to say that we'll hold questions until the end so that we actually might end. Okay?
I already did mine
Great.
though, so I'm good.
Okay. All right. Ryan, take it away.
All right, thank you. I'm Ryan Kelling. I'm the Executive Director of Human Resources for Bend Pine Schools. I'm super excited about some of the work we're doing in HR right now, and I'm excited to share it here. Sean Reinhart was supposed to be with me today to share kind of a little bit about what they're doing. He's ill, and so I might not hold all of the knowledge, but that's why questions are at the end. So we are excited to give you a little bit of like current state of our new hire orientation. All of our certified employees who start the year with us are invited, they're contractually obligated to attend a new hire orientation. And so this year it's next week at North Star on the 21st. And it's a really nice affair, and Dr. Cook speaks, and we introduce some district leaders, and they get time to do some induction pieces, and then they get some job-specific learning, and then they move into time with payroll, so they can learn about spread pay, and they move into benefits and learn about the benefits, open enrollment, and the selection. They spend some time with our policy and advocacy group. They spend some time with IT, learning about single sign-on and Canvas and different things depending on their level. And people leave generally feeling very good. We get good feedback from that. And so a couple of years ago, we started something with our classified employees who historically have not had a induction or orientation before the beginning of the year. We ran that 2 consecutive summers, and we had single-digit attendees both days. So we had some hurdles around logistics with the different calendars that our classified employees have. And so as we were brainstorming last year's school year of what this coming school year's would look like, we decided to kind of punt on a summer orientation and instead focus our efforts on those employees who are hired mid-year. How are we capturing them, certified, classified, and confidential? And how are we making them feel welcome and part of the district? I know I was a mid-year hire, and I'm fortunate I had a principal who was excited that I was coming on to the team and made me feel welcome day one, but it took me a while to even learn how to park. And so I'm a bad driver, but so I should have said where to park, but and so in doing that, we'll be holding biweekly orientations. We have the boardroom reserved every other Thursday from the 11th of September and through the last Thursday in July. And in that, we'll have three components to our onboard, or the orientation day. There'll be induction, the W-4 and the I-9, the pieces that we have to. That signifies you start as an employee then. We're paid for that time. Typically, I'm not sure that we're doing that. And then we're doing some orientation. What is spread pay? What are your eligibility benefits? How are we meeting the statutory requirements that the represented employees get time with their unions? And then moving into the afternoon session of some orientation, some job-specific learning. And the goals for these are that all of our employees leave every other Thursday, and then they start their assignment on that Friday. And we want them leaving feeling connected and confident. And those are the two goals for this endeavor, is that everyone feels like they understand what it means to work for Ben Lapine Schools and their role, and that they feel that they have, if not the skills to walk in that next day confident and ready to go, they're confident they know how to access training for those skills. And in that vein, our student services team they started last year and they'll continue this year. They will follow up those Thursday orientations with an all-day Friday, an 8-hour training where they get job-specific training so that our inclusion EAs can walk into the job and know that they have the skills to manage from day one, and they know their people if they need those trainings. And so we are really excited. It's going to be launched off-site. They'll be here in the Ed Center, but then we will, both Human Resources and Student Services will have some on-site additional training and orientation that goes throughout the year so that we can stay connected to our employees and really make them feel valued, make them feel important, but really make them feel welcome and that they're part of the team. And so we are really thrilled about that work that's coming up.
Good evening, Scott McDonald, Director of IT. Thanks for having us. Some of you who were at our launch last week saw this slide. I'm just going to elaborate on a few things because I love summer in IT. It's a fantastic time. A lot of magic happens in the dark halls when the kids are gone, and our folks get to spread a lot of the fairy dust and work with our partners up here. And a lot of the things I won't elaborate on because many of the projects will be discussed by the sponsors that are up here. That's what we in IT will call our sponsor, our champion for a lot of the work we do. But each year there's the big rocks that we're trying to help our Ben Lapine schools move. And so systems-wise, the big rocks that I think are important to speak of tonight are the HRIS system work that's ongoing. A lot of the stuff in our big rocks are usually have a project manager attached from IT that's making sure that we're being accountable for the work that we need to do with the system. So Rachel on our software side has been doing such a fantastic job of working with Scott with the website work for Final Site. Another big rock that's got a project manager on that side is our discipline work, MTSS work, and standards-based grading work, all of which has a lot of timelines and needs resources from IT to be ready and available and for the sponsors that are working on those projects. And I really feel like we've really improved on those kinds of help and services in certainly the past couple of years. Other than that, on the other side, we have a project manager, Roy Fuller, who's, we're double our because of the way that things were purchased with the lease, which I don't like to call a lease. It's a payment program. There's no interest on that. But we do have 8,800 iPads that are, hey, team, click on Genti. Let's just show the video. It's 1 minute long, Lisa, I promise. This is what it looks
There's no
like.
party like an iPad casing.
A
party.
warehouse
That's
on a
what it
hot
looks
day on 8,800
like.
iPads.
Packing cardboard. You got your pallets of iPads. They meet your pallets of cases. Then they meet the team where they get asset tagged with a 3D printed jig made by Ben Lafine Schools and USA. Here's the team putting on the stickers.
Look how happy they look.
In the system. Got 2 teams, and it's joy all day. 7:30 to 4:30, baby. This is the Ben Lafine way. There's already been 5,000.
You could probably stop it there.
Out the door and taken to the schools. You can see over here the locations of where these ready prepped iPads are going. High Desert, Cascade. There's more to do, and you're welcome to join us.
There's a
We'll be
bit of
back
a
at Brinson
recruitment here at the
tomorrow,
end to get people to
Wednesday
come
at
help.
7:30, and we'll be operating until at least 1
That's what
p.m.
your fingers look like when you
Thanks.
stay all
Have a
day.
nice day.
So anyway,
Till at least 1
on the
p.m.
hardware side, that is our
Wednesday.
biggest rock that we've been
Be
working on.
operating until.
Sorry, everyone. And that really, there's 3 teams in IT. There's the engineering team, there's the software system support team, and then there's the client services team, and that's their baby. And it's our hope to be ready for, just scroll to the top, hit the tab. Sorry. Scroll. Sorry, I'm distracted by the technology. Anyway, I'll let the partners speak for the rest. I will end on cool stuff. There's an LED wall in Bend High now. It's in the gym. It's absolutely amazing to see that. As of yesterday, for this board meeting, you have new bulbs and a full tune-up of this system. I don't know if you remember the last meeting and how desperate this room was needing of service. And it's our hope that everybody walks into their building or sees on their computer something that has been touched by our team. We have a new MDM, self-service, and everything looks different on our iPads and our computers. And all of that's the work that we do while people are out so they're not disrupted from the important work they do with students. And we take that very seriously, and we try and make sure that our timelines do not interfere with our school's timelines.
Thanks, Scott. We'll pass it down to Scott Bojanowski.
Hi, Scott Bojanowski, Director of Safety for the district. We got some exciting stuff going on this summer. To end the school year, we found out about a year ago that there was a state compliance that we weren't aware of. The state Department of Public Safety views our campus monitor position as an unarmed security position by state statutes. Kayla, our Assistant Director of Safety, worked really hard in making sure that we pulled in our 16 campus monitors. We worked with the cabinet level leadership team to pull them out of schools for 2 days in April. So that's a picture there in the kind of the top left of our 16 campus monitors getting 2 days of training to kind of fall underneath that state compliance. We're also, as of July 1st, we've moved the FTE for each of the campus monitor positions from the schools underneath the safety department. This is, I believe, Dr. Cook's 4th year, starting of his 4th year here at the district. And his previous districts, the campus monitor position fell underneath the safety departments, respectively, at the districts he worked at. So we've been in discussion with Katie and Steven the last couple years of making this move, and we finally made it happen this summer. We just spent all day today in interviews with potential campus monitors. We spent about 8 hours today looking to fill 1 position at Bend High and 2 positions out at Summit. And our goal with not only making sure that we're compliant with the state requirements, but also making sure that we have some level of standardization across the district as to the job performance, that we're getting staff in there that understand, they need to help out with some authoritarian type things, making sure kids are where they need to be when they're supposed to be there, but also developing strong relationships with our students and our staff while also maintaining accountability. And so we had some really good applicants today that we looked at. We hope to have those positions rounded out before we start the school year. And then we'll spend the next year being out at the schools as much as possible, shadowing those positions so that I can kind of evaluate what they're doing, how they're doing it, and then roll into next school year with standardizing some expectations, potentially creating like a handbook for the campus monitors, probably adding some training. So I got a lot of feedback today just in the application process of like potential training. And then working closely with our schools, even though it rolled up underneath the safety department, we're still going to be out there partnering with our schools and understanding how they need support with that position. We also, we've always had the STAS or CERC programs within the district. So STAS is Student Threat Assessment System. CERC is Sexual Incident Response Coordination. Eric Powell has been the lead for the past few years that I've been with the school district and kind of managing that and making sure that each of our administrators have a trained team at their schools so that when we do get potential threats to school safety, we have a mechanism to assess those threats and then create a safety program. We felt that specifically after, again, we've been talking about this for a few years with Dr. Cook, but specifically after the incident at Pilot Butte this past fall, we decided it was time that we needed to have somebody in-house dedicated to helping us manage that program. And so we were lucky enough, we did that. We worked with Ryan to do that hiring process in the spring. I think we had 25 candidates from across the country. So we have a very fortunate problem of having a strong candidate pool to get to choose from. We ended up hiring Lila Lehner, and she had been doing that work for the last couple years with the ESD. So we stole her away from the ESD, and she's working with Kayla and I in the safety department. There won't be a whole lot of restructuring of how we've managed that program in the district. There's just going to be a lot more oversight, a lot more opportunity for Lila to be out with the schools as they're going through those processes and working with them hand in hand, where previously Eric worked with them, but a lot of the times we were asking the ESD to come in and help us when it got to a certain point with that work, and now we'll have somebody that's an expert in that area helping us out day to day. We also, as you can see up at the top picture, that's Jessica Gamby, our principal out at Pilot Butte, and Katie Tickton. Katie was co-nominated by the school district and BEM PD for a national award for her part in helping that student out at Pilot Butte this past fall and making sure that the school stayed safe. So she was recognized at the National School Resource Officer Association conference this past July, about a month ago. So we sent her and Jessica down to the conference. I do have a video, I should have put it in here, but I have a video of her getting that award. It's pretty cool. And then just about 2 weeks ago, we took our entire SRO team, Lila, Kayla, myself, and Paul, our COO. We went to the Oregon School Resource Officer Association conference in Seaside. That's something we try to take the whole team to annually. And we get a lot of national experts coming in and talking to us about current best practices of school safety. But for me, this is going into my 10th school year, so I've kind of heard those national experts a bunch of times. For me, it's really a good time to kind of reset as we get ready to go back into the school year. We've had a few weeks to kind of, relax from the end of the school year, and it's a good opportunity for us to bring the whole team together and reset and just get excited about moving into the next school year. We do have, many of you may have known Joe Pacheco. He was our SRO sergeant and our supervisor. He got promoted, probably against his wishes. He got promoted, which took him out of the role of supervising the SRO team. We do have a brand new sergeant, James Kinsella, whose wife is actually a teacher at Three Rivers. So we're excited for him to come on board and help us with the team, and then we have 2 new SROs that are rotating out, and we have 2 new coming in. And every time, our partnership is so strong with both the Deschutes County Sheriff's Office and with the Bend PD that anytime we need to add a new SRO, rotate out, because Bend PD specifically, they have their SROs on a 4-year tour of duty. And they have a pretty stringent set of requirements they need to meet before they're even allowed to interview. And then they allow Kayla and I to be part of that hiring process, so we get input into the officers that we get on the team. And so it's been a really strong partnership that I'm really proud of. We can't make that work without their help and support. I mean, the last thing I wanted to talk about was we worked with ODE. ODE offered a grant to schools last year. It's a one-time funding up to, I believe it was like $2,000 per school. So it amounted to about $69,000 for us. And that grant is to help with wireless panic alarm systems. So you may know, somebody help me out, our local, Emerson Levy, our local state rep from here in the Bend area. She championed the panic alarm systems in schools and helped to provide that grant. So over the last few years, we've actually been looking at these kind of systems. We use a company called Raptor for our visitor and volunteer management, our background checks. We have a place in there to put all of our documentation for STAS and for like suicidal prevention paperwork. And so Kayla and I already had our eye on this system. We just didn't have the funding to purchase it. We're able to purchase it this year. We're going to roll it out in phases over the course of the school year. The first phase is what we call drill manager. It's where all the schools now will manage their monthly drills. We can go in there and see accountability of those. Then we'll have a phase where we roll out probably to our district incident command team. So when things happen at schools, safety related things, emergencies, we'll be able to communicate that way. And then the final push will be to roll it out to all staff. Staff will have the ability through their district devices to hit a button and go into one of our protocols, so secure lockdown. It will notify 911. It just doesn't, there is no system out there. There's a little bit of a misnomer out there nationally that there's systems out there that allow somebody to hit a button and talk to 911. Legally, no 911 system across the nation is allowed to have a third-party vendor tap into their system. So what a lot of these systems do is just geofences that like Scott Bojanowski hit the button in the boardroom, which then does give us some level of alert, but we're still gonna need to train to like call 911 and report these things. But what it does allow us to do at the district level and then roll it down through the schools is to see when these acts are happening, and then it gives us a platform to communicate across and just kind of streamlining that process for us.
Thanks, Scott. We will hear from Transportation and Finance next.
Good evening. I'm Kim Crabtree, the Executive Director of Transportation. We've had a busy summer. That's usually our busiest, one of our busiest times. We've done quite a bit of hiring. Actually, I'll start at the top of the slide. We have a team of 8 that do the dirtiest job in Bend, and that is cleaning the buses and detailing every one of them during the hottest time of the year. They start at daylight, and then they're done by about 10 in the morning. And you don't even want to know what we find stuffed down seats. But I mean, we are pulling out seat. We take off the whole bottom. They're into every corner. They're on their hands and knees, clean it all out, and then they wax the floors. Stays good for about 2 weeks, you know, but we did not have anybody willing to take on that great job last year, so they didn't get done last year. So it's a really big job to get 150 buses done in a summer, and it's been a hot summer. So we'll definitely be treating those 8 dedicated people to lunch here shortly, but they won't finish till about August 28th. It takes them every single day of the summer. And then we are rolling out new software. Our current software that we were using for routing was no longer being supported. I'm sure you've been blasted with emails if you have a student in the district. It's a big undertaking for us. It's a new parent app. It's a new routing system. All of our routers have been doing a weekly training for the last 12 months on it. It's got I think it's gonna be much more user-friendly for the families. But we couldn't have done it without IT. It's taken a lot of collaboration with IT to get this done. It's gonna be on the web, so eventually when we're up and rolling, it's taking a bit of a burden off of our IT department, we hope. It's the same company, it's just their kind of new and updated software. It will help us optimize routes a little bit better, give us some little bit better tracking information, I think more accurate tracking information to parents. And we're really kind of late to the game on getting it going. It just takes a lot. There's just always a little hiccups. But I think we're going to be good to go. Might be a little bumpy, but we've got everybody in the district has to re-register, and that's kind of been our hurdle, is getting people. We typically would have about 5,000 registered right now, and we have 3,500. So apologies if you have kids in the district, because you are going to get just hounded from your school, from us, like, please register your students. We don't want to get down to day one and not have kids have bus stops. So that's kind of a big piece. We are having
So shout that from the rooftops, folks. Any people you hear.
Yeah, to spread the word. Because they haven't had to re-register in the past. Last year, we had a session for our Latino families to help them register through ParentVUE. It's a process, and if you don't know your password and you don't use it, they jam it up, and then, so we had interpreters there and IT there, and the line just kept coming of people. And so we are doing that again on Monday. It's open to anybody. I think we have it for about 6 hours. We're starting earlier in the day and going to about 6 o'clock at night. But we'll have interpreters again, IT there, our staff will be there. We'll be able to create the RFID cards if families want those. I think it's probably going to be a bigger success than we have the staff for, but I think it's going to be helpful for those 22,000 or so that we're still waiting to register. So that is next Monday.
And a South County event on Wednesday.
Yes, and then South County is going to have one also, which I'm really proud of. Like, I feel like we're doing a really good job to involve them and not just have all those families come up here. Winnie the Pooh started this morning. We had a morning session at 9. We have one going on right now. We'll do it again tomorrow, and then we're doing it in La Pine for 2 sessions. And then we'll also have this how-to session for them next week down there at La Pine Elementary. So it should be helpful. We have IT. I have to give a shout out to IT. As much as I get frustrated because I am not IT literate, they've helped us create videos. Scott Maven and his team, the same thing, bilingual videos on how to use the app. I feel like we've covered like all our bases on this one on rolling out something new. So hopefully it's pretty seamless for families. Our technicians spend all summer long getting our buses ready. We have our purchase of buses. We purchase buses about 15 months out, and then we don't receive them until after that July 1. They still haven't come in. They're really behind on production, so all our new buses are going to deliver right at September. So we'll get them out by the time we put our camera systems in them and the RFID card systems. It takes us a little bit, but we'll be getting those rolled out. And we've also hired 8 new drivers. 6 of them are licensed and good to go. The other 2 will finish up and test in the next week or 2. So I'm happy to say we are fully staffed with a sub-staff also. So we're looking forward to a great year.
Awesome, thanks, Kim. Dan, you have a finance update.
I do. Good evening, Board. Dan Emerson, Chief Financial Officer. I do not have a slide actually up here, so there will be no cool flaming bus. But I do have 2 updates. One is around financial dashboards, and the other is going to be around our ERP system and the continued work that we have done. Nominally, we kind of call it our UKG plus finance system. So I'll start with financial dashboards. You know, I came into this role about a year ago, and I felt like one of my personal goals, and I think Dr. Cook's and this board goals, is to have more financial transparency, both externally and internally in our school system here. And we don't have a lot of financial dashboard information or available information to our school leaders or our operational director leaders or to our office managers without going into Business Plus, which is just our accounting software. And sometimes it's hard to get meaningful data when you're looking through 10,000 transactions. So that was one of my goals, was to come up with financial dashboards. Some of you that attended Leadership Launch, you may have seen them, you may not have made that session, but I did present it to office managers, principals, and our operational teams. These dashboards, I'm happy to show them in an executive session, maybe at some time with you all. But what they are is a budget to actuals for our school leaders, our principals, so they'll know at any point in time where they are with their discretionary budget. We have a goal of hitting 90 to 100% of that budget, so that every graduating class or every class that goes through those schools has an equitable monetary experience. And so they'll always know if they're trending towards that direction or where they are. They'll be able to dive into the actual transactional details to see what makes up those actual account lines. So we're very excited about that. It's full financial transparency. Anyone will be able to see anybody's budget, but we're excited for that kind of transparency. And then office managers and accounting will have a transactional detail page where they can actually go and look at kind of the invoice ID numbers and the things that they need to do their day-to-day job. And then lastly on that dashboard is we have real-time kind of FTE numbers in there, and so people will be able to use a date to see what their FTE is at any current time within their school, minus vacancies, because we don't have a position control system, so it's hard to figure those without manual reconciliation. So it's kind of a first step for us, I think, in really being able to give leaders the kind of financial information they need, and it helps with their financial education. It also helps us as a district to be more accountable to the public and to our schools financially. So very excited about that. Like I said, I'm happy to kind of do a training or show you guys those as they go live here, probably middle September. And then last, we've been doing a lot of work with our enterprise resource planning, our ERP. As you all remember, we had to move to paper timesheets last year. Sorry to bring that up. And we found that there was some kind of missing cross-functionality between finance and HR and our HRS system, our finance system. And so for the last few months, actually for the last year, we've had a cross-functional team working on that, and we've done a lot of excellent work this summer, including working on position control and how we would implement that, how we would change some of our position control numbers to make those systems work and be synergistic. We have done payroll automation and module optimization. We're working on with Business Plus on that right now, kind of looking at some of how we've set up our payroll modules in the system and how we might be able to change those going forward to allow for less manual processes. HR and finance have done current state process mapping for every single process that we have, and we're actually engaged with a consultant right now who's widely considered to be the best in the nation at this. They will be here. They're on site right now for the next 3 days, but they are going to be with us for 5 months doing interactive work, process mapping, system mapping, and then giving us future state and evaluations and product recommendations. So we're very, very excited about that. We're excited about all this work. And I also want to give a big shout out to IT as they're a major part of both those, the financial dashboards and the ERP system. So we're hopeful to be able to have an evaluation for a product done sometime around December and kind of move forward. This is a really large a really large implementation. And I think for those of you that were at the leadership launch, you probably heard me say this is probably bigger than our Synergy rollout that we've done in the past and the amount of data that it houses. And just so you guys know, Synergy houses all of our student data, but this is all of our HR, finance, operations, and it all has to be tightly connected. So it'll take some time, but I'm very hopeful that we can start doing some testing maybe as early as January and start looking towards really kind of radical operational changes and efficiencies. So, thank you.
Thanks, Dan. So now Doug Pigman has the opportunity to go through 50,000 slides and hit all of the high marks of facilities maintenance and custodial. So peace be with you.
It will be expedited for sure. It shows, I asked the team for a few highlights and got a resounding response. So there was a little bit more excitement in presenting this than.
And all of the board members have read these slides, yes?
Yeah.
So high-level
so-
hitters.
So this is more of a show and tell. We're a school district, so we might as well, show and tell some stuff. The 2022 bond consists of $250 million in bonds.
Hey, Doug, can you move your microphone a little bit closer?
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, so 2022 bond consists of $250 million of bond projects, 89 distinct projects that will be completed by 2028. Most people have seen the big blue square over at Bend High. BBT is the architect of record for that, and Kirby Nagelhout is the construction firm. Phase 1 of that will be done by July of 2026, and that is a 3-phase, almost 5-year-long project. So it's quite the heavy lift. Moving on to Buckingham Elementary cafeteria addition. Brick Architect is architect of record, and Griffin Construction, it is currently looks like that, big hole in the ground. There's a really large, that is not within the, I don't know if I can say that accurately. It does not have city sewer to it. I was gonna say it's not in the urban growth boundary, but I know for a fact it does not have city sewer to it, and so that backhoe or excavator that's way down deep in the hole is making a very large hole for a 26,000 gallon septic tank. So that has, that left-hand corner just off from the existing building ended up being the main entry point for all utilities coming into that building. So it ended up being quite the rodeo when they started digging. Moving on to Skyview Middle School. Skyview has the pleasure or inconvenience of having multiple projects going on at it at one time. It is one of the schools that is getting a fire alarm upgrade while we're tearing the roof off and making a lot of dust and noise in that building. My hat's off to the custodial staff as they continue to try to clean and prepare that building for the first day of school while all of that's going on. That said, we are in schematic designer. That is a rendering of concept design for an auxiliary gym. ORW is the architect of record for that project, and it's scheduled to be done on 2027. Lapine Transportation is getting an addition on there it's kind of shuffling things around, moving office space and creating break room and additional facilities for the bus drivers. As you all know, we continue to grow down there, and with that comes buses, and with buses come bus drivers. So ORW, again, architect of record, completion for 2026. I think the biggest thing to daylight here is that we're outgrowing that site fairly rapidly. I think Kim Crabtree would echo that one. We are in phase 3 of, I believe, 18 different fire alarm upgrades to bring them up to the current code. This is the roofing project. It is phase 1 of phase 2. That is such a large roof. We're taking that from the old architectural roof and putting metal standing seam on there and going to get a lot of useful life out of that roof. So very useful transition from the old architectural asphalt roofing. door lock hardware and ceiling fan upgrades or additions, and the life skills shower over at Bear Creek are smaller projects that continue to work in the background. We are just about done with all phases of the door indicator hardware for educational spaces across the district. That said, I will preemptively answer a question that came in fairly late today. There was a question that came from a board member about how many schools actually have functioning classroom fans in the educational spaces. With some fairly rough, quick numbers, we can come to the conclusion that we have 23 schools that have fans for cooling and air circulation in them. Yeah. This is on to maintenance. Maintenance, obviously, there's 645 acres, 239 of which is mowed by the maintenance staff. Our mechanical, electrical, plumbing crew took on this project in-house. Behind all of this is a before picture, so you got to show the bad to show the good. So there's actually some high efficiency water heaters that went in behind that great big yellow tank on the right-hand side. Original equipment to the building. This is what it looked like after they got done with it this summer. Just an incredible lift, getting all of that equipment out of there and making it, it's the boiler room. But to have a boiler room look that good after they were done was just incredible. Moving on to outdoor services, along with their mowing, they have taken on one of two, actually there's two projects over here at Mountain View High School. This is an area that was having water intrusion into the CMU block wall, deteriorating that, and the paint was peeling. The decision was to tear up all of that grassy area, reduce the amount of grass in the area, and provide a space for staff and students. So that was the end product. This was another area that they attacked while they were there with our excavator. This was a real safety hazard coming in and out of this side of the building. It's not only shaded, but it had some poor drainage. There was a lot of ice in that area. They tore out all of the concrete, regraded it, and put in some drought-resistant plantings. Along with that, the custodial staff, a lot like Kim's team, these people are hard at it all summer long. They start top down every single classroom, every single building across the district, and then they turn around and refinish 21 gym floors with sanding and putting the new finishes down for them to have them safe for our athletes. And then after they're all done with their top-down cleaning, they turn around and burnish, scrub, wax, strip almost 2 million square feet worth of floor space.
Awesome. That's how it's done, Doug. All right. Scott Mabin, bring us home.
Good evening, directors. Scott Mabin, Director of Communications with you. I am going to start with this. I think many of you have seen this already, may have a copy. This is our newly revamped family handbook and calendar for this coming school year, and so proud of what we were able to pull off over the last 8 or 9 months with this. This thing has gone through a lot of changes this year. We're excited for families to see what we've done. We've pulled out a lot of the content that we don't think families were engaged with and needing, and we put in a lot more family-focused, user-friendly content, including at the end guides, month-by-month guides to highlights and important dates throughout the school year. It's just a lot of improved organization and readability, and I really want to give some recognition and thanks to Becca Berta, our Assistant Director of Communications. This was a labor of love for her. She brought so many great ideas and strong effort to this. And the best part is it's in the mail this week. So our families will be receiving this in mid-August, which is several weeks sooner than we've been able to deliver the last few years. So keep an eye on your mailboxes for the handbook and calendar. It's on its way. And also there's a digital version of this on our website. I forgot to show you an interior slide from one of our calendar pages, and this is from our Spanish language version of the calendar. Another big project this summer that Scott McDonald here next to me alluded to earlier is the work we're doing to really bring brand new websites to the district and to all of our schools. We've been working the last few months to get to the stage where we have our new homepage for our district site designed. We're pretty well done with that work. We're moving on to our school sites right now, customizing those with logos and colors and so forth. And you know, we have 10 or 12 weeks left here before we hope to be able to roll these out in the fall. We've put a lot of thought and effort into making sure our new site is sleek and well organized and easy to navigate, and really to try for our school sites to try to make sure our school communities can really shine through their websites. Here is a view of a mobile view of the site. We know that most folks who are looking for us online are finding us on their phones, so we want to make sure that we can optimize the functionality and navigation with smaller screens. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is Parent Square. So Parent Square is something that we're just starting to take kind of the first steps toward this. It's a unified messaging and family engagement platform that has really taken off and become a popular tool for K-12 schools. Many other districts in the Northwest have added Parent Square. Did a lot of presentations for administrative staff and office staff last week and had a lot of nods, like Director Lynch has given me right now, of familiarity with it and appreciation for what Parent Square can do. So really this will allow us to streamline communications with our families at the district, the school, the classroom level. Parent Square is really highly customizable by the users. A lot of families choose to use a downloadable app to check a dashboard that summarizes and collects all communications that are coming from the district, the school, classrooms. They can also choose other ways to get their information, such as traditional email or even text message. I'm just really going to quickly mention some of the features that comes with Parent Square. Classroom communications, event calendars, school announcements, newsletters, fillable forms, secure doc, direct messaging, surveys, I mentioned that, mass notifications, volunteer sign-up opportunities. So it's a really robust tool with a lot of features that over time, as we work to roll it out and get all of our school communities accustomed to exploring what's available there, I think it's really going to blossom. So again, this is just like with the website, this is a joint project with communications and IT. We have, I would say, the bulk of our work left to do with Parent Square this fall and into the winter, and you know, we're looking at some point mid-year, hopefully to be able to be in a position where we can deploy it. The next thing I would like to talk about, oh, and I brought props. I brought my props. Would you like my folding? Of course. There you go. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Yeah, we're super excited about this. So we took on a new initiative this summer to celebrate some of the academic achievements of our secondary students, our high school students. These are examples here of congratulatory signs that can be displayed at people's homes outside if they choose, or if the student insists on a lower profile and they want to downplay it, it can be inside their bedroom. So what we did is we pulled the records on our students who had earned a top score of 5 on their advanced placement exams this past spring, a top score of 7 on their international baccalaureate exams, or who earned the seal of biliteracy or multiliteracy, which recognizes graduating students who have attained high proficiency in 2 or more languages, including English. So yeah, we started delivering these last week. You can see Dr. Cook on the screen. This was Friday. We went and hit, I think, 10 households just to kind of dip our toe into this and see how it went. And I think the smiles in the picture say a lot. But we have 400 of these signs going out. So it's a lift here in the final weeks of summer, but it's also a lot of fun, and I think it's a nice gesture to include our community in celebrating what these students have accomplished. Okay, you can put them away if you'd like. Thank you. The last thing I'd like to talk about is back to school messaging. That's always a big push for us, a big lift in August and it's into September. But first, I'd like to say that we have, for the first time in a while, or maybe ever, we have a sign in front of this building that identifies who we are and what we do here. So if you haven't noticed it, it's beautiful. It's been a couple of years since we have had an education center sign on the premises, but this is a prominent new location. It's easy to see it from Wall or Bond or out front in our lot. And I want to give a shout out to the maintenance department and also Carlson Sign Company for helping us over the past year get to this stage, navigating the city permit process and the historic preservation code. That's why you see, and it's kind of hard to see in the dark base of this photo, but that's lava rock that, and it's what?
Tuft.
Tuft. It's tuft. And brick that approximates or closely resembles the original building materials of this building, which, by the way, I want to point out, opened 100 years ago this September as Bend High School. And so I'd be remiss not to put in a plug right now for our Education Center Centennial Celebration, which will be an open house on Saturday, September 27th from 1 to 4 p.m. We're going to have live music performed by students in the district. We're going to have self-guided tours and some of our the building's history on display. We'll have some snacks as well that I believe students in our culinary programs are going to prepare. So we're going to open our doors to people who may have worked in this building over the decades, who may have attended school in the building under its different lives as a middle school at one point, an elementary school, I believe, a kinder center. And, you know, anyone in the community who's simply curious about what's inside here, we welcome you on that date. So we'll be doing a lot of promotions, and fingers crossed, maybe a little did I know segment. Okay, so back to school time. I'm just gonna wrap it up here. There's a wealth of information that comes out this time of year for our families. I mentioned a lot of it is already captured in our handbook and calendar. They'll have that shortly. We have our first family spotlight of the year will be out this Thursday. That has a lot of essential back to school information as well. A second spotlight coming out the first day of school, September 3rd, will be focused solely on school safety and student wellness. Let's see, I think that's, and those who follow Bend La Pine Schools on Instagram or Facebook will be seeing a sort of a countdown to the school year series starting August 22nd and rolling up through that into that first week of school. And yeah, I think we'll just end on that image. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. So as you can see, our teams are hard at work over the summer. So thank you for bearing with us in a very hot room, but all of this work is like our schools cannot run and cannot function without the efficiency and the time and energy and vision of all of these people. So thank you for, allowing some time to just present the behind the scenes look at what they are engaged in. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, I'll go first. I have a question for Ryan Kelling, and thank you for the presentation. And I think, and it didn't come up in the presentation, but because you sort of said recruitment and retention, and retention is actually one of the things we're really good at in this district. We have one of the highest tenured staffs in our peer group of districts, and of course that does drive funding for us because they give us a little bonus for that. I looked at last year's report from December and didn't see a lot of those sort of traditional hiring metrics in the report. Things like how long does it take us to fill a position? How many applicants do we receive? Is that going up? Is it going down? Is it and do people accept the offers that we make them? That sort of thing. So I'm hoping that in December we can start to see some of those kind of more traditional recruiting metrics when we're taking a look at the progress.
Yeah, we can capture a lot of that info. If you let me know what you're looking for, we can tailor the presentation to that in December. Absolutely.
I also saw that there are some positions that still need to be filled as we head into the year. And hopefully we get a chance to kind of highlight those in some of the communications that are going out as well.
Yeah, while you're telling your friends about the need to register for a bus driver, if you know a part-time Spanish language teacher who's interested in teaching high school, that would help me sleep at night. So thanks for that plug, Jen.
Directors, any other questions?
Yes, I have a few, actually. So I was wondering, and Scott, I've never been in a room with so many Scotts here. Scott B, this came up with an principal at the leadership launch about seeking a SRO who's a woman to be hired sometime soon. I'm curious, just off the top of your head, campus monitors. Do we have an idea of number of women?
I'm sorry, is the question how many we currently have or how?
Yeah.
We currently have.
Who are women?
2.
Okay.
2, yeah, 2. Sorry, I have to check with my
Okay.
counterpart there. We have 2 in our hiring process today. We did have 1 candidate.
Great.
Yeah, and it is something that we think about. We're looking at getting the most diverse pool possible so that we can reflect those positions, both SROs and campus monitors, out with our students and staff.
Yeah, and I know with your partnership, you can pull folks in who might be, maybe they're not women who are SROs, but they're women with whether sheriff's office or.
Yeah, that's something
to work
that
in
we.
collaboration.
I mean, it's a matter of numbers too. They're working on trying to hire a diverse pool as well of officers. But it's something we talk openly with them about, that is a priority of ours, is making sure we have a diverse pool of SRO officers and campus monitors.
Well, I'm glad you got a couple campus monitors who are women. Okay. Thank you. Oh, and the other question, yay about the panic button or alarm. Curious, and I've heard so many different things. Is there any need for teachers or staff to be using their phones for anything related to that?
So we will have a buy-in process as part of that phased in. And we would the companies that have those products, most of them are mobile app based. So we'll be able to push it out onto all staff laptops and any staff members have iPads. And then we'll be able to opt in, like everybody at this table, we can kind of say you have to put it on your phone because we pay a stipend for the phone use.
For you all, yeah.
But to try to get the teachers, we will have a buy-in kind of campaign as to like why we would like you to consider putting this on your phone. It doesn't track anything. It doesn't take away any battery life. I mean, it's no different than running any other app. It's not. We're not going to be able to see what you're doing on your phone. But we've specifically asked that of our of the people helping us implement it on the Raptor side of what does that look like at school districts across the nation? Because that's a common occurrence. How do you get the buy-in of the staff to put it on their personal devices? And they say that like the first year, there's an 85% success rate of staff wanting to have it on their phones.
But ultimately, aside from more classified, every certified staff member already has a device, right? And they have easy access to it if they do opt out, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you. And then I had a question about, with regard to, well, I wanted to say to Scott Maben, I love all the community outreach and this kind of investment in stakeholders and community connection that's happening. I'm hoping that maybe in the future, in addition to these 3 categories for the signs, these are all very traditional academic focused with, you know, certain course loads and testing. And I'm wondering if we could add another, and I know this is the first year and 400 signs is a big deal, but add something that's a little bit more maybe CTE related or something that's not so connected to tests, right? And, you know, I'm just throwing that out there. Something to think about.
Yeah, thank you for that. We've already been noodling that over about where it might go after this year. I think we want to get the first year under our belt and step back and evaluate it. I also think we can get started earlier in the summer. We do need to wait until the scores, you know, the AP/IB scores are posted, I believe, in mid-July. But a lot of this other information, like the seal of biliteracy, we know that toward the end of the school year. And so I think we can be in a position where we're a little better organized and ready to take on something like that. So.
Okay, great, thanks. And I did have a question about the sustainability coordinator presenting in the future, but I got wind of that, so that's okay. But if you want to say anything, Doug, about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, the sustainability coordinator, we hadn't found greener pastures back east somewhere. And so we do have an open position there.
Okay, I will spread the word. And then one other question with regard to, just lost it, hold on one second. With regard to circling back to TAG one more time, and then I really feel like we have talked enough about TAG on this board that I would love, just as the rollout with September, kind of this new kind of system, and then maybe long down the line, we can hear an update of how it goes. But that would be my only request, just because it's kind of a new, you're doing all these different things, and yeah, which is,
I'd be happy to come back and talk about it, for sure.
give us a little update.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, terrific, thank you.
Any other questions? I just had one question, Scott Bojanowski. Just because I know with the panic alarms, the barrier had been funding, and I know it is grant funded, and there'd been concerns about ongoing funding. If you could just talk a little bit about funding now for it, funding going forward.
I don't know if I can speak to funding going forward at this point, but the goal is to showcase the resource and what it can do to help us keep schools safe, and then I'll be banging down his door to to keep the funding moving forward, find it somehow.
Okay.
But there are other grants out there we can take a look at.
How long does the current grant cover the funding for?
Just for 1 year.
Just for 1 year?
Yeah, just for this school year.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, any further questions? Nope, all right. So thank you. We will now hear the superintendent's report.
I sure hope that my report means that that last slide gets off the picture that was done without my permission, I might add. Yes, the September or superintendent report is, I have 2 items, and one of them was very well done by Lisa. So my quick update on the leadership launch, just want to add a couple of things. First of all, thanks to all the board members that participated and showed up. And just a shout out to the office managers who we incorporated into the leadership launch this year. That makes the total of participants in our leadership launch upwards of about 180 people. I'm glad that they were there and able to spend some time with us for those 2 days, and a lot of really good experiences, and really proud of the efforts of our team and all the participants that participated in that. The second thing I want to take just a moment to reflect on the legislative session. This was a very important and meaningful legislative session. It set records, as a matter of fact, for the most total number of bills proposed, upwards of thousands. I lost track. I think they had somewhere over 2,000 bills that were proposed, and it just the ones that really do make a difference. I wanted to give a shout out and bring attention to those. The first one is House Bill 2140, which I think might arguably be one of the most important. It's it is the bill that reforms the state school fund calculation and codifies into law how the current service level is funded for the years to come, so that the first year funded at 49% and the second year of the biennium funded at 51 now lives in statute, and so the budget must be built in that manner. House Bills 5047 and House Bills 2007 is the summer learning funding bill, providing $35 million for summer learning. Now, Ben Lapine Schools did not qualify for any of those dollars, but the commitment was provided by legislators that this is the starting place and that they're going to be working towards that. So I hold a lot of hope out for the possibility that one day Ben Lapine Schools would qualify for summer learning dollars that could impact student literacy for us. The other one that I think is a quiet one that happened pretty importantly and saved, from our perspective, a budgetary impact of millions of dollars was Senate Bill 849, which was dollars used to reduce the statewide PERS rate for all districts that had unfunded PERS liability. It reduced our rate by over 1.6 percentage points, which was amounted to, I think, just under $3 million and saved a lot of cuts for us. One that you heard Scott Bojanowski mention today, the House Bill 3083, the Emergency Preparedness and School Security bill that passed regarding panic alarm systems. And so we are proud participants in that. We're going to look for ways to sustain this and try to be a partner in that, providing that level of safety and security with our schools for years to come. And while I mentioned that, I do want to give a little bit of a shout out to our legislators, our local legislators, especially Emerson Levy, Jason Croft, and Anthony Broadman, for being so responsive and listening as we presented our cases on every type of bill that had to do with education in some fashion. And they have demonstrated proven interest and investment in securing a safe and meaningful future for K-12 in the state of Oregon, and are always responsive to our needs as we talk about how bills may impact us, how funding maneuvers and changes could be felt in classrooms. And I'm just really grateful for that partnership. And then I think the last one, it's not a part of the legislative session, but just wanted to let you know that our team is dialed in, working on how we're going to anticipate and impact the district in reference to the executive order issued by our Governor Kotek regarding cell phone use for students. The largest part of that conversation will happen at our high schools because the K-8 aspect of that is already in direct alignment with policy that we have in existence. And that's it for my superintendent's report. Glad to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Directors, any questions? All right, thank you, Superintendent Cook. Since we have no questions, we will now open the floor for board comment. Director Olson.
Thanks, I love being first. Just a shout out to all of our district managers, directors, whatever your titles are. I keep forgetting and messing them up, but it is so important that we understand what's going on, and I don't know where you get your energy, but it's fabulous. Also, for doing, during the leadership launch, for doing those sessions, I think I just saw expressions of disbelief from our administrative staff about what is going on behind the scenes. and recognizing that without all the things that all of your staffs do, we couldn't run school. So congratulations and thank you so much.
Director Lynch.
Yeah, I'll reiterate, it was fantastic to hear from all of your departments at the leadership kickoff last week, and thank you so much for inviting the board to participate in that so we could learn a little bit more about what goes on day to day. And I just want to thank everybody in advance who is going to be welcoming so many kids to school 3 weeks from today, and especially to our student orientation leaders and web leaders at the middle school who are going to, give up that extra day of their summer in order to make our newest students feel welcome. And a special bienvenidos to everybody who is a new arrival in our district. We are so excited to have you and can't wait to get started.
Director Tomlin.
Well, lots going on, and I really appreciate the presentations tonight. Tremendous work getting done. Brings to my mind, working at the college level, people would come up to me in the summer and say, wow, you get the summer off, huh? What are you going to be doing all summer? And I said, well, we're all working all summer long, so I know you all are working very hard. Thank you for all you do. Jen and I got a chance to do OSBA training this weekend, and lots of good information we learned from meeting with a lot of other board members from other districts and meeting some of the OSBA staff. This was my first real interaction with OSBA. Great ideas on things to work on, and did talk a lot about planning processes and superintendent evaluations, things like that. So we got legislative updates, policy updates, so a lot of good information, and I'll be sharing some of that with other board members. And then again, the leadership training last week, I was able to attend Thursday, got to meet a lot of staff that I had not met before, and I really enjoyed the training sessions, the learning session especially, just got a lot of good information, felt a lot of really strong energy in the rooms, and so I just reiterate, we have great staff here at the district and a lot of good things going on. So I'm looking forward to the academic year and working on our end results and other goals and just seeing the progress continue to be made.
Director Fisher.
I also want to echo big shout out to the leadership launch, and I especially appreciated the speed dating format of getting to know every department, from seeing spick and span HVAC room, HVAC room, and to learning about nutrition services and the number of local companies that they collaborate with, to learning about the Parent Square, which I'm really excited to, I think that's the right thing, but I'm streamlining. As a parent, I can't tell you how challenging keeping up with everything in different platforms, so I'm excited about that. And then also, Chad, I think it was Chad from IT, shout out to him, who sat down, spoke with me and chatted about kind of the pros and cons of iPads versus Google Chromebooks, which I've kind of tracked what districts use those, and so he was really helpful in that. So I really like the format of that, and I went to last year's, but I think that was great, and I hope that happens in the future again because it was very effective. Thank you.
Yeah, I will echo the leadership launch was great. Though I did debate some of the interpretations from AI on what the songs meant. Our team disagreed about a few of them. Yes, they all did. Exactly. No, but it was great. It was great to be back together, set a good tone for the year. And, I would encourage our families who probably aren't listening because they're still enjoying summer vacation, but it is time to start getting back on school sleep schedule because that is a pretty important thing as we think about our last few weeks of summer. I don't know that I'm ready for the year to start, but it's here. So with that being said, I'm going to say our next regular business meeting is scheduled for September 9th, 2025, and this meeting is adjourned.